Hey there, Aubrey. What's shaking?
Not too much. I have a question for you, Lindsay.
Okay, I'm
We
ready.
got a really good grammar question, and one of these sounds right to me. I'm curious if it's the same for you. Which of these sounds right to
Mhm.
you?
Okay,
Adam and she went to the store, or she and Adam went to the store?
definitely the second one. She and Adam went to the store. That is the one that sounds much more natural to me, Aubrey. What about
Same,
you?
right? That's
Yeah.
what I hear. This is what I use.
Yes.
But surprisingly, I did a little research for this episode. There's no grammar rule. Like both are
What?
technically correct as far as English
Shocking.
grammar. But this is one of those weird things where I feel like, as far as what I hear on movies, hear on TV, there's one that sounds very right to me, in spite of the fact that there's no official grammar rule.
That's so weird. All right. Well, this is what we're going to get into today. And today's episode was inspired by a really great grammar question, right? This grammar question. And we love, especially when it comes to grammar, to get your questions directly, don't we, Aubrey?
Yes, exactly, right, and specific questions like this one that was sent in by Rosie with
Mhm.
some, specific sentences she's heard and mistakes she's heard where we can really dive in and get specific.
All right, I'm going to read the first part of the question, then maybe Aubrey, you could read the second part. What
Perfect.
do you think?
All
All
right,
right.
sounds good.
All right. So Rosie says, "Thank you for making this amazing podcast. I'm currently working in the States and I've been listening to this podcast for 4 years." Aubrey, that is incredible.
I
Four
love it, that's
years.
amazing.
We love it. Thank you for listening. I have to say, everything told or taught in the podcast is practical, useful, and helpful. My English proficiency has gone to another level each day, which helps me make deeper connections with my American friends. Clearly, our listener understands our values, our philosophy, and is going for that sense of deep connection. I love it.
And I
Aubrey?
love this to see that it's working, right? That everything we're sharing is practical and useful, but
It
is
works.
helping her make these deeper connections with friends in the
So
States. Like, that's the goal. It's working for you, Rosie. Thank you for sending this in. It makes me
oh,
so
yeah.
happy.
It just warms our hearts to think
Yeah,
about our listeners out there really truly making those connections and feeling a sense of a full life because you have people around you, right? And it's because of that
exactly.
English, that focus on connection. All right, Aubrey, let's go deeper. Let's get into the question from Rosie.
Yes. So Rosie said, I have a grammar question for you. Recently, I was sharing about the life of my coworker with my boyfriend, a native English speaker. And when I said, oh, Adam and she went to blah, 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 somewhere, my boyfriend
Mhm.
corrected me and said it should be Adam and her or she. And Adam went to, for me, it doesn't sound right since her is not a subject. I understand it'll be Adams and her plus an object like house. I've heard some native English speakers saying, me and my family went to, and I asked them about this. They just said, oh, yeah, me and someone else is not grammatically correct, but is spoken English. Can you
Mhm.
please elaborate on this and share more examples of spoken English, which are not allowed in written English if it's possible? Thank you so much for spending time answering the question, Rosie.
Mhm.
Okay, so this episode is a follow up to a couple of episodes we've done very recently where we answered a lot of her questions there. So we first want to
Mhm.
share those. If you missed them, definitely scroll up because with those two episodes and this one, we answer all of the questions she had in the questions she sent, which are all really good and are all pretty tricky English grammar.
I'm so excited for all the grammar episodes we have this fall. It's really a key time for listeners to buckle down and look at grammar to focus on these. So, guys, go back to episode 2085 How English Grammar and Politeness Go Hand in Hand. That was the first one. And then there was another one, Aubrey. What was
Yes,
that?
2093, her and I or her and me, your grammar question answered. So,
Yes.
yeah, scroll back. In those episodes, we shared grammar rules for pronoun order because it does matter for the first
Hmm.
person pronouns like I and me. To be
Hmm.
polite, we put ourselves last, right? Don't miss that
Yes.
episode.
I love that.
And Rosie's friends are correct that many errors are accepted in spoken English, right?
Hmm.
These errors are more common in some regional dialects. So they'll sound incorrect to some speakers, but not to others, right?
I love it. I love it. And what else, Aubrey? What else do we need to know here before we get into it?
Well, whenever we teach a grammar point about native errors, we always share this information. What is grammatically correct and errors that are generally accepted and common in spoken English. And we are going to keep doing that because that's our goal here. We want you guys to know, yes, the correct grammar, but like, when does it matter? Does it really matter? Pro tips to avoid some of the traps. So we've had a lot of these great grammar episodes lately. If you are missing them, you're missing great stuff. So be sure to hit follow so you
Yes.
never miss an episode.
I love it. Go ahead and hit that follow button, guys. And so today we're going to answer about her boyfriend's correction, right? Talk about that, right? This
Exactly.
idea of she and Adam instead of Adam and she. Let's get into it, Aubrey. Where should we start?
Yeah, this is fascinating to me because one sounds so much more correct, right? For
Right.
me, it's definitely she and Adam. It should be she and Adam, right?
Mhm.
But like I said, surprisingly, there's no set grammar rule
That's
about
so
about
surprising.
pronoun orders with nouns. There
Mhm.
are grammar rules when it's all just pronouns, which should come first. I think we should definitely
Mhm.
share about that in an upcoming episode. So yeah, hit follow
Mhm.
so you don't miss it. But
Yes.
for this, when you have a person's name, like Adam, and then a
Yep.
pronoun, there's actually no set rule for which should come first, but one really sounds right, right, Lindsay?
And Aubrey, what are the sources that we consulted here just to kind of back up what we're
Yeah.
saying? Where did we go to check this out?
Yes, the AP style book says a order doesn't matter when you're mixing pronouns
Mhm.
with nouns.
Mhm.
And you're going to see, I did quite a bit of research reading Grammar Girl, right? She's sharing
Yes.
this as well. I love her tips. She's been on
Yes.
the podcast before,
Right.
Mignon.
Yep.
And a lot of these grammar experts do a lot of research. They read all of the different sources and compile. And every
Mhm.
now and then this happens where it's like, this is more about what we're used to hearing. And there isn't an actual set rule for this.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, let's go into some examples then, and see where we do have some freedom here when it comes to this particular thing of adding a name and a pronoun together.
Yeah, and this is tricky because, we say freedom because, oh, there's no specific rule, but as far as what I hear in podcasts and film, what really sounds right to me and to you who grew up on the other side of the country, at
Right.
least in the States, there's one that's going to sound right, I think, to most
Right.
people. And so that's
Yes.
to have the pronoun first. So for
Okay.
example, she and Adam went to the store.
And that is instead of saying Adam and she. So, again, just to make sure our
Exactly.
listeners are clear, what we're saying here, Aubrey, is that we could also grammatically say Adam and she went to the store. It just
Yep.
doesn't feel as natural to us.
Yeah, it's not what we're used to hearing or saying. And I'm curious actually if this is different in other English speaking countries. I would love for you guys to leave a comment on the YouTube video. What do you hear more often? Right. And if we have speakers from around the world, I would be fascinated to hear
That
if
would be
it's the
cool.
same, if what we're used to hearing
Yeah,
or something else.
that would be very cool. What else? What's another example?
So this works with every pronoun or not just she, right? You
Yeah.
and Julie ate dinner. I wouldn't say Julie and you ate dinner. It's grammatically correct because there's no official rule, but to have the pronoun first sounds correct to me.
Yeah, well, and then the last one, he and Matt are at the park. Feels so much more correct. Yes?
Yeah, and I mean, this is especially because with an irregular verb like to be,
Mhm.
it will sound really strange to say Matt and he are at the park because we're used to hearing he is, and we would want to change the verb. And then it becomes
Mm.
confusing like, ooh, is this a compound subject? Oh, what should the verb be? And so that's part of the reason that we always have the noun second, right? He
Oh
and
my
Matt
gosh.
are at the park.
He and Matt. I like that so much better. Okay, so what about object pronouns, Aubrey?
Right. So if you guys did hear those recent episodes, you're clear on subject pronouns, he, she, object pronouns, him, her, and this works the same. But let's look at it. Which sounds right to you, Lindsay?
Okay.
We met up with Mark and him, or we met up with him and Mark.
Mm, I don't know. What do you think, Aubrey?
I hear both. Both sound correct to
Yeah.
me. I feel like I hear both. I say both. So this is one thing where it's nice. This is not something to stress about. There is no set rule. I
Yeah,
think you're going to hear both on podcast, TV, and out in the wild, just speaking to native speakers. So
that's
maybe
nice.
listen to what people around you are saying and match it, but they both sound right to me.
Yeah, I love that. So we have so in that case, we can kind of go with both. I love it.
Yeah,
So good.
either.
Okay, good. And now what else?
Yeah, let's share a role play, right? Definitely, guys, hit follow. We will soon do another episode about when pronoun order does matter when there is no noun, when there's no name given. Like here, we're saying, Matt and Mark, all these different names. When it's
Yeah,
just like he, she, and I, all right?
that does
You,
matter.
him, and me. There,
Mhm.
we've got some rules there about the order. So that could be a whole other episode. We'll share that very soon.
But did we share some of that in the previous episodes, Aubrey? Was that something we covered in those
The
other
only thing
episodes
we
we need
really
to
talked
follow?
about when we did pronoun order, we were sharing that I and me should come last, right?
Okay.
Put everyone
Okay.
before yourself. That is a
Yes.
pronoun order issue that's about politeness. But there's a
Mm,
whole other set of rules that govern which comes first, second,
okay.
third, or first person pronouns. So we'll
Ooh,
share
okay.
about that soon with lots of examples so you can be
All
really
right.
clear. Because
All
when
right.
it's groups, right, when you have three different pronouns, this is a
Mhm.
common mistake in English to know what's the order.
Okay, guys, hit follow to get those. Let's do our role play here. So, Aubrey, you were asking me about a party that I threw the night before. So, something that already happened in the past, correct?
Exactly, right? Okay. I'm so bummed I couldn't make it last night. How did it go? Kevin showed up, right?
Yes, he and Jenny both came. It was fun to see them.
Very fun. And Maria said she was going early to help set up.
Yeah, and yeah, she and Lily got there at 6 and helped. So nice of them. Very nice.
Awesome. So I
All
was a
right.
little more restricted in what I had to say in this
Yeah.
role play because we need to understand who the subject is, right? I need to have
Mhm.
already asked about someone and named them in order for
Mhm.
you to use a pronoun.
Yes, absolutely. Interesting. Right. Because you can't just have a random she come out of nowhere
Right.
and we
I
don't
wouldn't
know
be
who
like,
we're
"Who was
talking
at the
about.
party?" And you're like, "He and Jenny came." I'd be like, "Who's he? What are you talking about?"
Right. Very awkward.
So I
All right.
first said Kevin showed up, right? So we both know we're talking about Kevin, so you'll use the pronoun he.
He, right. So I said, yes, he and Jenny both came. And so what we're saying here is we could say Jenny and he both came. Correct, Aubrey?
Yeah, this sounds right to me. He and Jenny both came, but grammatically, both are correct.
Oh, we have choices. We like that.
Mhm.
Okay. What else?
And then I again clarified I'm asking about Maria. Oh, Maria said she was gonna go early to help set up. So I'm
Mhm.
basically asking, like, did she? Did she go early and help?
Right. And then I said, yeah, she and Lily, so she is Maria, she and Lily got there at 6 and helped. So nice of them. Okay.
Exactly. And again, like, ooh, no grammar rule of whether you say Lily and she or she and Lily, but this sounds correct to me. She and Lily got there at 6.
Ooh, no grammar rules. I like it. Maybe that's our
I know.
title today.
Right? For once, it's really kind of
For once.
strange, actually. This almost makes it more tricky that you're like, I'm
Okay.
trying to figure out what's the rule for
Yeah.
this. And there's
Yeah.
all this conflicting information. And some people are saying there is no rule. That's almost
Oh
more
my gosh.
confusing.
Challenging. I think the call to
Yeah,
action here for our listeners is, I totally believe in just learning among native speakers. Go live in an
absolutely.
international house. That's how I learned Spanish in Buenos Aires is by living with international people speaking Spanish. But sometimes if you go to them with grammar rule questions, they will give you the wrong information.
Exactly. Yes.
So go somewhere else and double check what you're getting. Okay.
Yeah, and I think another big takeaway here is we love getting these questions, and it's fun to make these episodes. It's interesting to find out, but I think often enough the answer is like, either there is no rule or natives use it both ways, or like even natives make mistakes with these. I think it really is a testament for the fact that memorizing specific grammar rules, like you said, is not the best way to go about learning a language, right?
Yeah.
Instead, learn speak it and learn the way people speak and don't be so stressed about making grammar mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll tell you when we're covering a rule that you must get correct, right, Aubrey? We'll flag that for you
Yes.
guys. There are certain things we talk about present perfect, past perfect. We want to get those right, okay? Grammar tenses, but today's an example of where you can do either one, and you can have a little more leeway, and you should be focusing on connection, Aubrey. So good stuff.
Absolutely. You guys have noticed that we always point out what sounds really right to us or to most native
Mhm.
speakers. Those are the times where it's flagged. Like this way sounds really correct to us, so the other way is going to sound wrong, right?
Yes,
And yeah,
love
it's
it.
important to know like what do natives say just so that we can build connections with confidence instead of stressing about mistakes.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I love it. So thank you to our listener for that amazing question and for being a longtime listener. 4 years. We love that. Guys, send in your questions. Again, you can put them in your review for this podcast, YouTube, or just email them to Aubrey. Good stuff.
Yes.
All
Awesome. Thanks,
right.
Lindsay. It's a fun grammar episode.
Yeah. Talk soon, Aubrey. Have a good one.
You
Bye.
too. Bye-bye.